We get calls from people who are moving to Oregon from so many different places. However, many of them are from California. So if that is you, if you are thinking about moving from California to Oregon, then today's video is for you. We are sharing some things that you are for sure gonna want to know. And at the very end, we are going to be sharing some important moving tips that you probably are not even thinking about. So be sure to stay tuned until the very end. You're not going to want to miss anything.
This is today. Mariah and I's favorite topic. Not only you guys being Californians, but you being from out of state. We specialize in relocation clients. So if that's something that sounds like you and maybe you're looking to move from one state to another, feel free to reach out, contact us. In the description below, you'll find our website, emails. Contact us that way. We will reach back out to you within 24 business hours.
Let's just start off, first of all, before we get into the tips, with why are people moving from California to Oregon? So like I said, we work with many relocation clients, and they move here from so many different states, so many different places.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so random. Some of them have a higher cost of living. Some have much lower cost of living than us, but they still choose to move here. But what are some of the reasons that we see people moving from California specifically? Well, this is like statistically, but I think we can agree with what they said as well. One big one is lower cost of living. Oregon is not necessarily a cheap place to live. The cost of living index says we're about 14 points above the national average, but if you're coming from California, you will be saving money.
It's a good transition. It's a good topic. I mean, when you do your traveling, I just drove all the way to Southern California.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a long travel. You notice the simple things, cost of goods, purchases, gas, for instance, how many times you fill up in that car ride.
Yeah.
We're talking over $5 at least a gallon right now. And compared to that, I mean, it's $1 cheaper here in Oregon at least. So there's those type of costs that you really think about and consider. And if you're transitioning your job to Oregon, maybe keeping the same job just so you're able to work remotely with the same rate of pay, that's a lot of coin in your pocket at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I know a gal who's actually doing that right now, moving from Southern California to Oregon and keeping the same job. It's like work from home remotely type situation. And so that's just a really beneficial thing is you keep the same income, but your cost of living is significantly lower here. So I think that's awesome. I do hear that though. I have one family, in particular that was just so excited because they never were able to have a yard for their kids because where they lived in California, the homes with yards were they were hard to come by because there were just so many houses packed in a small place, but they were just so expensive. And here they found a home with a really great big yard. And I was just so happy for them.
That's a huge benefit and factor though. Family lifestyle, if you're able to, I mean, maybe you're downsizing with the home itself in square footage, but you're able to have a bigger yard space that maybe you've never gotten to experience in your life. Man, that's exciting. Seriously.
Yeah. According to Best Places, if you're making let me just start that sentence over. According to Best Places, if you're making $50,000 a year in LA and you move to Portland, you can expect a similar lifestyle for only $37,000 a year. And now, if that
just doesn't even sound like much in LA.
It doesn't sound like much. I know who could live off $50,000 in LA in the first place.
And I got a story to add to this one.
Okay. But I just wanted to say that's for Portland, which is one of the most expensive places in Oregon. So there's many, many great towns that are much, much less than that even. Like cost of living wise, we actually just did a show on our channel. We have shows where we talk about cost of living in Portland, where we've broken it down. And we have shows where we have broken down the cost of living in Salem specifically. So if you want to hear more about like specific cost of living in different parts of Oregon, head over to our channel.
Awesome.
Go ahead. With
and so I was the only reason I'm going to share this story is it happened yesterday. I have this coffee date with my best friend. He's a high school friend of mine, and he was in town. He's been living in California the last year, basically, and it was very abrupt. He said, "Spence, I'm back home. I'm living in Oregon right now," and he's going to go back to work. And he's been living in California though the last year, and I kept asking him, Well, what made you move back? And one of the biggest reasons really was he was sick of being broke. He was sick of being poor and he had a job in California. And I mean, he just couldn't make ends meet. The rental prices were insane. He didn't own his own home and he was splitting costs, living in a house with like 8 other people, still not able to make ends meet. Or he was at the end of the day with only a couple dollars in his bank account by the end of the month. And he was just sick and tired of it. And what did he do? He moved back home. And he transitioned to a new job, and now he's going to be making pretty good money, all because, not telling you to leave your current situation, by the way, but he made a decision in his life to benefit him in the long run. And in the moment, those times are necessary maybe in your life. He said it was very humbling, and he understands the value of money, which is very appreciative. I loved hearing that life lesson story of not maybe a poverty mindset, but actually experiencing something you're uncomfortable with.
It makes you appreciate,
the appreciation side was really kind of nice to hear him say. And that was really exciting, though. And it's a great topic because I didn't know this was a topic today. So I'm glad I got to share that story.
Yeah, moving from real life story. So I'm moving from California to Oregon. And then the last reason why we see people moving here, well, these aren't the only. We could go on and on.
Oh, you could talk
There's
forever.
so many reasons. But this is just like according to these statistics. But we can also say this is true because I hear this often, is lifestyle. Many people move here specifically for the outdoors. We have a lot of really beautiful outdoorsy things going on. The Great Pacific Northwest. Yes, it's super beautiful, and there's a lot to do, like if you're into outdoorsy things.
You like to fish, you like to hunt.
Hikes,
you
beautiful
like to hike?
State parks, things to see. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an avid outdoor person, but I really love appreciating and seeing. I mean, it's so pretty.
As someone that grew up in the outdoors myself, I really do love the outdoors. I mean, if you talk about natural spring water, we have some of the purest water. It's unbelievable. Waterfalls, hikes, mountainous. If you enjoy hunting, if you enjoy the beach, we got our beach, the Oregon coast. Duning, for one. I'm a dooner. I like getting on my dirt bike and quad and really hitting the mountain and going up these sand dunes. It's quite an unbelievable experience. If you haven't quite gotten to do that in your lifetime, go out there, come to Oregon, visit, do a rental, and go out on our Oregon dunes, go out on our Oregon coast. Our lakes are beautiful.
Yeah.
Our water's warm in the summer. I mean, it's so beautiful. We have seasons, and so I'm an Oregonian. I'm going to talk our state up. And if you're looking for a change of pace, a different scenery, I'm sure you can catch all sceneries, whether you're in the Central Oregon area, Northern Oregon, Southern Oregon area, or, the coastal area. There's all sorts of sceneries that could fit your needs.
That's true. They all have something a little different to offer. And also, they're all easily accessible. We're not a super long state like California to where it could take you forever to drive. Like you couldn't just drive like in a day or whatever from one end to the other. But the way that Oregon is shaped, you can hit up so many different, the coast, the mountains, like all so easily accessible.
Well, it's hilarious too, though. If you talk about, we might hit this point, the traffic.
Oh yeah,
we'll talking about that.
I don't actually.
I'm not going to take too much time on it, but my experience is as soon as I hit Oregon on I-5, boom, I never have traffic. I'm going 70, 75, even 80 on the I-5 until I hit maybe Wilsonville, which is towards the later part of Oregon, heading into Washington.
Yeah,
and then if I go east to west, I'm not hitting these major highways where I'm stuck in traffic for 20, 30 minutes at a time, or I'm in a crawl for that period of time. It gets so annoying, especially if you're going through these small towns and you have to stop and go slow every, 30 minutes. It's just like, I want to be behind my wheel and get to the destination I want to be at. And Oregon is one of those states, I believe, where our traffic is really, really manageable and the master plan is great.
Yeah. And I already know people are going to be commenting how if people keep moving from California, then that's going to change because people love to comment about that.
Hey, my sellers love Californians because you guys usually have cash. And they say, you're from California, cash buyer. And they give me a thumbs up. And I say, it's not every time, but they generally have a higher amount down.
That's funny. Okay, so now where do our clients from California often move to in Oregon? We see a lot of people from California moving to Salem, Corvallis, Portland, Hillsboro, Beaverton, Wilsonville, Milwaukee. Bend and Eugene, we don't see as much, but those are kind of their own, definitely their own areas. And I went through all those towns really quickly, but again, head over to our channel if you want more information. If you want to hear us go in depth on any of those towns, we definitely have videos and playlists on our channel where we do. So
and you really are spot on though with those towns and the majority of the people.
Yeah.
There's usually a reason why you're wanting to be surrounded by one of those towns, family, work, or you just enjoy that location and area and the surrounding.
Yeah. All right. So now getting into our tips, the things that you want to know before you move here. Number one is know that we kind of already hit this, but although home prices are definitely not as high as they are in California, they still are high compared to the national average.
Which has always surprised me. When you look at our figure and number within the 50 states in our nation, it's... what are we? We're ranked. We're usually like top 8 in
something like that.
The national average when it comes to sales price and homes.
Okay. The next is Oregon has been named second most bike friendly state in the entire country.
At one point, I think we were number 1. Who's number 1? Do we know?
Oh gosh, I want to say it was somewhere over by. It was like by Maine. Maybe it was Maine or Connecticut. One of those, like somewhere over there, Vermont. Okay,
I will say we are very bike friendly.
We are extremely bike friendly, especially Portland. I think it might be that Portland is like the number one bike friendly city.
Yeah,
it is very bike friendly. Eugene is bike friendly. Even Salem, it wasn't as bike friendly when I, because I've lived here my whole life. Even when I was a kid, it wasn't as bike friendly as it is now. But they have really changed a lot of things and made it bike friendly.
It's quite unbelievable. People they buy these electric assisted bikes, and so you're able to actually go to work every day on a bike, and you don't have to drive a car anymore. It's amazing, and they've done a really good job with our roadways, widening them and creating bike lanes for bicyclists.
Yeah, I know people who live over in West Salem and work downtown Salem and ride their bike to work every single day. They just go over the West Salem Bridge, and they have great bike lane, whatever you want to call it. They make it very safe. Yeah, with kids too. Okay. Number 3 is wildfires are something to be aware of before you move to Oregon. They are not as bad here as they are in California, that's for sure, but it is a densely wooded state. It is so beautiful, so many beautiful trees. And there are certain towns and areas that could be a threat. Now, I definitely wouldn't say this is something to worry about, but it's something to be aware of. I think there are certain towns that are more like in the mountains, further out, like you're going to be like very, very far from town, mountain town, that kind of thing. Most of our clients, hardly any of the ones that are relocating at least, are moving to those towns.
Right. I've had a couple that want like a riverfront property, and so those specific homes, yes, they do require you to be sometimes more outside of the city or along a specific river you've researched or you're more familiar with that is more mountainous terrain.
All right, so the next thing you're going to want to know is that each beach town here in Oregon offers something a little bit different. We have had clients move from out of state to specifically the west side of Salem because they wanted to just be a little bit closer to the beach. They're about 45 minutes from Lincoln City there versus maybe like an hour from other parts of Salem. My favorite beach town is Seaside. Definitely worth checking out, but we do have really beautiful beaches.
Yeah. Clean weather, it's permitting. I rarely go there. I got to be honest about that one. But when I do go to our Oregon coast, it's an exceptional, beautiful day and time to be there.
And then the next thing to know is be prepared for all seasons, but we do have pretty moderate weather. So for the most part, this is going to differ depending on exactly where you're at. If you're over in the Bend area, you're going to get more snow in the winter, a little more extremes, but in the Willamette Valley, at least, Portland, Eugene, Salem, all these different surrounding areas, the temperatures are pretty moderate. We really don't get, we do have all 4 seasons where it's not like super hot all year round. We do have rain throughout the winter, but we do also have a lot of like crisp, sunny, and cold days as well in the winter. Summer's very moderate. I'd say 80 degrees is pretty
your average 80 to 87.
Which is something that we actually have had clients say they're moving here specifically for the weather because they came from places like Arizona where
They got burnt out.
They can't go outside in the summer. Even I was just looking at like the Yuba City area in California on my phone. It was like 115 degrees yesterday. Like how do you even enjoy the outdoors if it's that hot? You just can't. So that's one of the great things. I'm cracking
an egg on the street and I'm cooking breakfast then.
You leave your color crayons in your car and they're like melted all over the seat. I couldn't even imagine.
Different world.
Different world. You just have things that we don't even think about that you would have to think about. So, okay. So the last tip that I said I was going to mention at the beginning, this is a little random, but it's probably something that you maybe aren't thinking about. And this is if you are going to be renting a moving truck, this will cost you about the same any time of year. Prices are not likely to fall or rise during different types of the year. So move when is best for you.
I love that.
That's the best time to move when it works for you.
That's really good advice because, I mean, me personally, I have not looked into moving or hiring a moving van or truck or even movers, and especially across states, it could get expensive. And I have had some clients refer to, man, moving is expensive. So if you want help with moving companies, we do have references and referrals to send to you. And just feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to help you, whether it's now or 12 months down the road. We want to interact and meet with you. I got probably 4 Californians on my list right now that I talk to routinely every month, or if they see a property on our property searches that I have you set up for, they say, man, I really love this property. And there's just excitement. So you're aware of what's available here in Oregon, and we have communication until the right time comes.
Yes. And lastly, something that a lot of our clients do, not all of them, many of them move to Oregon without ever coming to the state, which if you're in California, it's probably less likely. These are usually people who live in, all the way across the country. But many of them never come to the state until after they close on their home. We can do everything virtually. But a lot of them, especially if they're from a neighboring state or a close by state like California or Idaho, Washington, Montana, many of them will drive down to the area just to kind of scope out the area and get a feel for what it's like so they know what side of town or what specific town they're wanting to do their house hunting in. So if that's you, if you're thinking about doing that, I would love to send you over a list of businesses, places, sides of town to check out while you're in town. And again, if you are thinking about relocating to the area, shoot us an email. We would love to work with you and help you find your home.